scheduled meeting for February 9th, 2026. If you would, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I want to start with obviously some announcements this evening. First announcement is I wanted to mention that I appreciate the efforts that have been put forth in the last couple weeks by our community overall. We certainly, our first responders, our road departments, our neighbors, our friends, everyone has stepped up over the last couple weeks. It's obviously the winter weather storm has put a lot of additional stress on the community. It just seems like this is a couple years in a row that we get those events and then we get the deep freeze and it just does not let up. And it's simply the circumstances just get to a point where you do what you can, but there's just not a lot that can be done overall. But unfortunately, our community did experience 3 determinations of storm-related deaths. We have one, I think, that's still pending determination, I think, by the state at this point. So we did unfortunately have some folks who lost their lives as it was determined to be storm-related. But nevertheless, that doesn't minimize the efforts that obviously that were put forth by our community overall. So I appreciate the efforts of all those individuals that helped through that. We are melting today. And we'll be melting even more tomorrow as we start bumping in the 60s. So we'll take it and enjoy it. So I've never monitored the 10-day forecast so much in my life as I have the last 7 years, especially in wintertime, because I want to know 10 days out which way are we trending. Are we trending more favorably or not so favorably? So keep that app going and keep watching those 10-day forecasts. So I did, on a more serious note as well, I did want to take this opportunity to recognize someone from our community who we lost recently, and I know we all are well aware of it, but I wanted to mention it publicly. The loss and the impact of Jeremiah Parsons to our community. This is the first fiscal court meeting that we have had since Jeremiah passed away extremely unexpectedly, and just wanted to say publicly some things I'd shared otherwise to folks as well, that this guy just was he was a workhorse, and he was an ambassador for our community. I don't know that anybody went out and told the story of our community and represented us any better than he did. He just was great with the love of this community, and he put in hours tirelessly to do things. As I think Regina had mentioned once, when it came to events, and we partnered a lot with tourism, and we still plan to do so, but certainly during Jeremiah's time of leadership with tourism, we partnered a lot, and we would go to events and we'd just walk in and it was all there and it was all done and it was set up, and he really worked hard to make sure that it was seamless as possible for whatever event that we partnered with them on. But he was a great friend to a lot of us, and I just want to publicly recognize his service to our community and how much that he will be missed going forward in what we do in this community. I did want to mention a few community events that we have. The first one is the Chamber monthly membership meeting. That will be this Thursday at noon at the 404 Pavilion on Main Street. It will be sponsored by UK King's Daughters. Lunch will be provided. You do not have to be a Chamber member to attend the event. So if you have opportunity to be there, they will have a doctor presenting, interventional cardiologist presenting on Thursday. So that event will be at noon. The next one is, if you do not have plans for Valentine's Day this Saturday, we highly recommend this event. It was a success last year, sold out last year. But luckily for all of us, there's still tickets available for this year. So please reach out to the web or Facebook pages of, I guess it's on the Chamber Facebook page, Tourism's Facebook page, to purchase tickets. It's a night of a really good catered dinner. Live music. If you're not familiar with Eddie Jenkins and 606 Sound, they're a great band, and they'll be playing music that night, and it starts at 7:30.
Judge McKenzie, the museum has some paper tickets, as well as we have some here in the office.
Okay, so paper tickets here in our office, paper tickets at the museum if you prefer just to stop by and purchase those. $35 per ticket. It's a great deal, a good evening out. So if you don't have plans this Saturday night on Valentine's Day, we highly recommend it. It starts at 7:30. So I think we had one more. Did we not? Is that it on the community events?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. I was thinking there was three for some reason I had in my mind, but I also wanted to mention a project that we've been waiting on from FEMA for approval at Stone Cold Road off 172. I'm happy to say that FEMA has approved that project for repair. It has been a significant project, and we simply just had to wait for them to approve it because the approval it's a nearly $600,000 repair on that road out there. But we're happy that that has been approved. Two things. One, I appreciate the diligence and the perseverance of Stacy Colvin, our FEMA applicant agent. She has stayed after that project. FEMA denied us at least once, maybe twice, and we kept working with it, and she kept working with it to get us to a point where that FEMA approved the project. So I want to thank her for that. As well for staying after that project. And I want to thank the residents of Stone Cold and the folks who use that road. I know that's an inconvenience, and I know it's a disturbance for them, and we truly, truly regret that that happened. We simply just had to keep working the process as hard as we could to get that support because with the support of FEMA, we will only have to pay 13% of that cost to get that repaired. But it's a big project, and we're happy to finally have approval for that. So. The last thing I want to mention, this will take a few minutes, is I feel like as we kind of enter into 2026 that it might be a good opportunity to kind of share some updates on some projects that are currently pending. We always try to look ahead. We try to pursue projects, try to be visionary as we try to move forward in our county, of adding value to our county in a lot of different areas. So if you will bear with me, I want to take just a few minutes and share with you some updates on some projects as we kind of move into 2026 and what we will be working on and some updates. And if I reference the legislature, the Kentucky State Legislature, I want you to know that our legislators, both Representative McCool and Senator Wheeler, are well aware of where we are on some of these projects and have requested their support, and I feel confident those two gentlemen will work as hard as they can in the legislative process to help us get as much as we possibly can of some of the things we're pursuing. But I guess let's start with state road projects, I guess is the first thing. Route 460 from Paintsville to Syersville, there was a study that was completed last year, and basically out of that study it recommended that the best alternative to upgrade Route 460 was what they call a 2+1, which basically allows for passing lanes about every 1 mile going both directions. So essentially, if you're on your way to Syersville, if this project is completed, then you would be able to have a passing lane on the average of about every mile. So the key to this is that it reduces accidents by 50% when you add this type of road upgrade. So the 2+1. It also addresses two curves on Route 460 that have had multiple fatalities over the years. The good news is that the current 6-year state road plan that was put out by the governor's office actually has this project in the road plan at $43 million, that if it is approved as it's presented, if the legislature approves it, and I know this is a priority project for both of our legislators, but if it is able to be approved, then the funding could be made available within the next 2 years, within this budget cycle. So that's really huge for us because it obviously reduces, it increases the safety, reduces accidents. This upgrade would, so please stay tuned for that. We'll keep you posted as the legislature moves forward in their work on that. Route 40, what we call the Old Lowe's Road, to give you an update on that. The section that goes from the hospital to what we refer to as Garbage Hollow, that section of Route 40 is in a final design stage, and funding has been proposed also in the 6-year road plan, not in this biennium or in the next 2 years, but within, I think, the next 3 years for construction if it's approved. But just want to make you aware what it does is it obviously improves the roadway or behind the hospital, around the really steep curve there behind the hospital, establishes some shoulders that don't exist along that roadway, all the way out to Garbage Hollow. With that also, there's a section that goes from Garbage Hollow all the way out to the Route 321, the main intersection, that's also being funded for design, I think, in the next year, if that also stays in the 6-year road plan. So they've broken that down into 2 different projects. But the one from the hospital to Garbage Hollow is moving along very well, and design is almost complete on that to help those upgrades. Out in Commissioner Sayer's district, primarily Route 172, that project is for spot upgrades along Route 172, so that's currently being evaluated. There's been public meetings on that, and so they're identifying the areas that need upgrades, spot upgrades along Route 172, and determining preliminary costs so that they can obviously then, KYTC can move forward with trying to access funding for that. Route 1428, a road that obviously is gets a lot of traffic, which is basically from FS Van Hoos Lumber all the way out to Route 23, basically, but specifically out to around the curve there from the West Van Leer turnoff. But that road, we have requested the state to develop a design and preliminary cost for that, to upgrade that road. We believe it's not only a major artery, obviously for our community, for people to get in and out, but an upgrade of that road would also afford us the opportunity to be able to add a bike lane to that, which would allow connection from the city limits out to the Dawkins Trail. So we're really working on that. I had a meeting last week with a representative from Senator Rand Paul's office to put it on their radar for potential federal funding if we can, once we can get the planning and the cost, planning, design, and cost complete for that project. But just to let you know, that one's really a one we're pushing hard. We think it's a huge impact project if we can update 1428, upgrade it. With respect to county roads, as you all know, we receive annually approximately $180,000 to resurface roads through flex funding. That does about 1.5 miles right now with current asphalt prices. We have about 275 miles of asphalt county road. So, you know, if we're only getting 1.5 miles guaranteed, that's obviously a pretty big challenge for us to keep, you know, to keep moving forward with improvements. So with that in mind, we're always looking for additional opportunities to be able to improve. So we have made a request again this year of the legislature through the Local Assistance Road Program. We have requested approximately $345,000. That's pending legislative approval. That would give us additional funding to improve some additional roads. Keep in mind that this particular program will only address roads to which KYTC, Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, will inspect and make a determination that they are considered a 10, which is the most in need roads. So they make that determination. We make the recommendation of the list, and then the Transportation Cabinet will make the determination of where they score. But in the last 2 budget sessions, only roads that had a 10 rating, which is the greatest need, were actually funded. Not all of those were funded, but I've also reminded our legislators that we do have this pending request to help us as well with some additional funding for county roads. The County City Bridge Improvement Program is another program that we have been accessing support for. We have been awarded a little over $1 million for the Industrial Park Road, which is the bridge that goes to the former American Standard. We're currently seeking proposals from consultants to help us develop the bid packages and to do the project management inspections and those type things, because we have to follow all KYTC guidelines related to the bidding of that particular project. And so that's where we are with it. Also, with this same funding program, the County City Bridge Improvement Program, we are also going to be submitting applications for 2 additional bridges that need to be replaced. The state does inspections of all county bridges that are over 20 feet long. So they give us an inspection report, make us aware of the needs. So we have 2 bridges, one at Asa Creek and one at Hale Drive, that have been identified as needing significant repair or replacement. So we're going to be submitting applications for those 2 locations, and we're expecting those to be in the neighborhood of $1 million plus probably for those 2 projects to replace those bridges. But we will access the CCBIP funds for that. The last project I wanted to mention was actually a state project, but obviously we were the recipient, and that is the shared use path that we have been working on with the Transportation Alternative Program that runs along Route 321 through the shopping center school district there. We are currently, we will be advertising, as you all approved, for professional services to help with the design, bidding, permitting, and construction inspection for that particular project. So that will be also something that moves forward in 2026. That will actually be moving forward in the spring of 2026. So I just want to give you a few updates on those projects. Utility projects for 2026. We still have our 23 South Sewer project that we're working on. We have representatives here at Paints Utilities, Bob Pack, General Manager, and Matt Spradlin, Assistant General Manager. That project was recalculated for costs because it's been a while since we were able to, since we've been a while trying to get our funding in place for this project. It started out as a $7 million project. It has now grown to 7.75. But the good news is last week at the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority board meeting, the board approved additional funding of $750,000 for this project to meet the expected budget for this project now. So, and there's a significant amount of forgiveness of that funding in the approval as well. So we're happy to have gotten that last week. So, so that'll be moving forward, I hope, with some advertising for bids here in the near future. The Route 40 460 sewer project, that is the project that runs from basically the 172 Route 40 intersection on Route 40 out to the spillway area, and then also on 460 from Rock House, roughly, Rock House area all the way out to Lee's Trailer Court. That's a $2.4 million project that has been funding approved, and we have a kickoff call tomorrow with the agency handling that at 2 o'clock to give us the directions on how we move forward with getting that project going as well. But funding has been in place for that also. One that has come to our meetings several times, and I appreciate these residents being so diligent, but that's the residents of Orchard Branch off of Route 40 in Oil Springs. They have persistently come and made us aware of their situation out there, and we were not neglectful in their need. We understood it very well. We just had to get things in order to be able to find funding and get a plan in place. Well, I'm happy to say that we do now. We have secured the funding, and we also are partnering with Paints Utilities on this project, and Paints Utilities accepted the bid for that project last week, Matt, right? Last week, and materials are being procured and work being scheduled at this point. So we're really happy for that project. That one has been hanging out there for some time, and those folks have really needed that. So we're happy to be able to move forward with that. With respect to more water line extensions, we have been working on 4 county roads extensions for some time. We did not have funding for the longest time, but then we were able to secure funding through the Cleaner Water Program, and that is to extend water service to 4 locations: Stapleton Lane at Elna, Dixon Branch at Flat Gap, Jackson Fork Road at Riceville, and Kimbler Lane off of US 23. Those, along with funding that was secured to run water line to the new Johnson Central High School, are all moving forward at this point. The bid has been advertised for the 4 county road water line extensions. All of it, that's right. All have been advertised, but they will be completed as the projects are ready to be moved forward, but we're getting bids for all of those at this point, right? And those are due February 24th or 28th. I was thinking y'all maybe told me the 28th. Anyway, the end of the month. The end of this month, the bids are due, so we should know more about that. So for those folks who have been patient in waiting for us to find funding, we're happy to be moving forward to be accepting bids on those by the end of the month. Thelma is a location that we've been working on to get sewer extended to that area. It has a lot of package plants, which are those sewer processing plants are located on individual properties. There's a lot of those in that area down there, as well as some failed systems. So we've been working on a phased design for that so that we can do the Richmond Village area or we can do areas of Thelma. So we're working on possible funding sources for those so we can submit applications, but just to let you know, the Thelma area is still very much a priority and on the radar for us to try to secure funding to help improve the sewer, commercial sewer in that area. Silk stocking at Van Leer is complete. That is a sewer extension project there that has been ongoing for about the last 6 to 9 months, I guess. That project went pretty quickly, but that project is now online as well. Silk stocking, that offers commercial sewer to those folks in that area as well. 23 North is the last project I want to mention under utilities, and that is the extending commercial sewer, municipal sewer on US 23 North all the way to W.R. Castle School, but that Matt Spradlin's working on that one, he and Bob. Working on that one in phases as well, because we think we can probably find funding a little easier if we break it down into phases, because the whole project was in excess of $15 million. So if we can get it in phases and complete it as such, then we probably could secure funding hopefully a little easier by doing so. So the first phase would basically go 23 North just past Hubert Collins Drive, or Collins Drive, I guess, because the county extension agency is planning to build a new building there on the left. So that's kind of the first phase will be to try to get past that location with the sewer. So I want to reiterate that the importance of the sewer extensions is it does a couple things. One, it opens opportunity for economic development on properties that maybe would not be able to do so otherwise, because commercial sewer obviously is a must for that. But it also can help folks improve their property values by connecting to municipal sewer, whereas right now they may be dealing with septic systems or package plants. So it really has a lot of effects on that. The map that you see on the screen there is one you probably have seen before, but that's kind of our overall plan, our vision of what we're pursuing, and some of those are already being funded. Some are certainly are in the process of pursuing funding. So, hopefully, if you haven't seen that, you take a look at that as well. But that's a good summary of where we are with sewer projects.
We currently have about $15 million underway, 80% of that being grant funded.
$15 million, Regina advises, of utility projects underway, with it being 80% grant funded. So that's pretty significant support. Thank you. With respect to economic development, I want to update a couple things there as well. Our Hager Hill industrial site has been a property that we have been improving. We've had a vision for it. We've continued to improve it. Job creation, job recruitment can be a very challenging situation because you've got to have all the infrastructure in place for that. You got to have the roads in place. You got to have utilities in place. And you have to have a product to sell. And so, if it's best described, maybe we've been working on this in phases. So, we secured property for an industrial site. We then moved to the next step, which was to have that build-ready certified, which we now have that as well. And then the next part is we have to move at the speed of business, not the speed of government. And that means that we need to have a building on that site that when we recruit folks, that we can say, we have a place for you to be. And so the good news is that we had received $2 million from Abandoned Minelands Economic Revitalization Fund to build a spec building, but we were a little bit short of meeting that need to build the building. It was about $1.3 million short to do some additional excavation on the site up there, as well as possible relocating the county road up there a little bit, shifting it over to accommodate the building. That's a rail-served site, or can be a rail-served site. And we have been planning a 50,000 square foot spec building. So the financing shortfall that we had just got solved last week. Judy Daniel, our economic development director, applied for the Kentucky Product Development Initiative funding, and that funding would allow for a maximum award of $2 million, and we have a 15% match for that. But we were on a kickoff call this afternoon at 2 o'clock, and they actually have awarded us the full $2 million. Wow. So now we have the money to finish our spec building up there. Judy and I were ecstatic because when they sent the letter last week, it did not detail how much, because they asked us to break it down into priority phases: building, excavation, and then possible road relocation. But we didn't know how, and we didn't want to really call and say, hey, how much are you going to give us? But we had a kickoff call this afternoon, and so we asked them on the front end of the call, said, what are you funding? And they said, we're funding you the maximum amount. So by the drawing, you can see there, the phases are continuing to come along, and so, the county acquired property with KPDI money previously. They gave us additional land behind it. That land now becomes extremely more valuable to us because that's where we will bring the fill material to do the filling that's needed to expand the existing site that we've had. So as we all know in East Kentucky, when you take it from here and put it over here, you're making land on both sides, right? So that's what's going to happen up there, is we're going to make usable land, expand what we have, plus make more usable land. So we're really excited about that and looking forward to moving ahead with it. But so at the end of the day, we have a rail-served site. We are going to place a 50,000 square foot spec building on that site. We have $2 million from AMLR. Now we have the additional money from KPDI, so we're ready to keep that project moving. We've already procured the engineer to provide the design for the building and the costs for the building and all the engineering necessary to do that. So we're really excited about that. So Judy and I have had conversations in recent months that one thing that you sometimes have a hard time doing in job recruitment is getting in front of people to try to sell your product. We now believe that we have a product that we can fully sell because we have a building, we got a place to put them. And if they want to locate here, they don't have to wait for us to build a building if we get this complete. So Judy's working on now setting up face-to-face meetings with companies that would be in what we consider traditional economic development, job creation, with logistical companies, with those that are in light manufacturing, machining, those type folks. And so we'll be having some face-to-face meetings with those individuals and those companies in the coming months, now that we obviously have what we believe to be as a full product to sell with a building on the property. So I appreciate the hard work that Judy did on that, securing that funding, and then obviously working forward, working ahead to secure meetings with these prospective companies.
Can I make a comment?
Sure.
So,
Stop me anytime.
well, this was like a huge government thing in Kentucky for the vision of these places through our governor, and they made the money available. Just for people who don't understand, this is budget session, and this is where they make their decisions based on what we do throughout our terms in government, local government. So this is the time that they budget for these things, and these girls over here and everyone else works really hard to find the monies that are available that they make the decision on right now. So right now is the money that's going to be available for our next term. And then we'll have to wait 2 more years for the next budget session to get these things. So a lot of people don't understand how it trickles down. Everybody just kind of thinks that we have money to do these things. But the vision and that we have is now, will be 2 years from now before we get the money to pay for it. So I just wanted to make that clear that I appreciate everything they do on working on getting the money, but money just don't come from the sky. We have to work for it. And I appreciate everyone's patience on figuring that out, but we have exceptional workers who actually work for us, and we appreciate that.
Thanks for the comments. Recreation updates the Hager Hill athletic fields. I want to mention the soccer field improvements. We fell a little bit short of weather last fall, so we have about 2 weeks of completion on some finished grade and then seeding of that. So we'll keep that project moving forward. The next step is to add the concession and bathroom building, which we're working on that now, to add to that project, and then to Commissioner Click's point about the legislative process, we have a request in for a line item in the budget this year to assist us with funding for our tennis courts and pickleball courts that are planned, and that total ask is $2.6 million. So I know our legislators are well aware of that. Representative McCool submitted that request, and obviously Senator Wheeler is well aware of that too. So we will continue to monitor that as we move along, but that keeps that project moving forward. I had mentioned previously at Thealka Park, we're going to add a pickleball court there on that we have on some existing facilities down there to help continue the improvements there to go along with everything that's already occurred. I did want to mention that we have been in discussions with state parks at Paintsville Lake that we would like to put an inclusive playground. That's a playground that is accessible to those that have mobility issues or disabilities. And we've talked to state parks about that, as they're constantly looking for partners to improve their facilities. And we think that's that's a big improvement that could be offered to our community, and we think it fits very well at Paintsville Lake because of the boardwalk project and the handicap accessible kayak launch that's already there. So we believe an inclusive playground really fits out there with the amenities that have already been developed by this court in partnerships in the past. So we are in discussions with state parks about that inclusive playground. The last thing I wanted to mention under recreation, and I guess it falls under recreation, and that is the Funplex. The Funplex is a project that obviously offers things that our community has been very clear that they would like to have, and that is things to do. And that's an easy three-word statement of things to do, but it's a big task to try to make that happen. Look, I say we all, I'm looking around the room, but I think we all remember the days when we were growing up where that we did have movie theater, 2 at one time, actually, where we had a bowling alley before it burned, where we had a jungle golf, in which I thought was interesting recently. Someone posted pictures of jungle golf. And even if kids they didn't live like we did to experience these, I guarantee you their parents are telling them about them because it was part of our lives. And so we fully understand, all of us do, fully understand that trying to make this happen, to have things for kids to do is important. Station Alpha, ring a bell to anybody? That was the arcade for those that didn't know. That was the arcade that was in our community, at least one of them. So we have had those things to do in the past. So our goal is to try to find those things in the future, but every one of those things I just named to you were all private investment businesses. And so you have to try to find that investor or investors that are willing to make that leap to invest in those facilities. And that's not an easy task. Economically, sometimes it's a little bit challenging, but that doesn't mean that we give up on it. We try to work on it. So when we have started a few years back, when an investor approached us about wanting to do a facility like that, we obviously want to do our best to try to find a place for that. So in the conversations, and I'm recapping a little bit, obviously, but in those conversations, what we did is we found that the local school system obviously had some interest in providing a piece of property that was adjacent to some property that they were developing for this project. So as you all know, we worked to try to reach an agreement with that. That we're still moving forward, okay, with that, because there's not anybody in this community, fiscal court, school system, community members, that doesn't want us to do the best we can to create an opportunity for things to do in this community. So the challenge is that a project of this size, which has now grown to be in excess of $10 million, doesn't come without some challenges. I've never worked on a project yet of that size that has not had moving parts as you move through the process. We're working through those things. Do I like the speed to which that things go in government? I do not. I've told you all that from day one. I want to move at the speed of business, not the speed of government. But sometimes the speed of government drags you down. It trumps the speed of business. So we're still moving forward with that. But we just completed an update to our community strategic plan. I promise you that one of the most responded things that they wanted, ladies, things to do, right? And bowling specifically. So we understand that. We just have to keep working this project to its completion. So it's still moving forward. Just because you don't hear anything about it doesn't mean that it has gone away. It hasn't. It's just we're working through things that have come up along the way. As the project grew, once the agreement was reached and then you determine a value for this project, it exceeded $10 million. So it's a pretty significant project that obviously everything has to be buttoned up and done the right way. So just so you know, things to do, we're still working on things to do in this community. And obviously that particular project is one that checks a lot of boxes. So we'll keep working on that to try to deliver that project to the community.
Do we have a projected date for the soccer fields?
Well, the hope was, Tim, we could have seeded in the fall to use it in the spring. I think now, if we seed in the spring, it's probably going to be the fall before they would be able to be. But that also gives us time to put the concession and the bathroom building in during that time.
Which they
What
said
aspect?
they did well at the Park.
Yeah, you know they relocated to Thialca Park. They relocated all of their fields but one were relocated to Thialca Park. And see, they actually have we obviously have bathroom facilities at Thialca Park, so it actually gave them bathroom facilities that they didn't have up at Hager Hill.
Okay.
So it actually, in some ways, it helped them a bit because, and they were very cooperative when we approached them and said, look, we know this is going to displace you. We're going to do our best to get this done and seeded in the fall. Hopefully get some growth so you could use in the spring. Unfortunately, weather got us in the fall, and we fell about 2 weeks short. So we'll finish and seed in the spring. I would assume that we get the growth we need for them to have their fall season there, but Thialca Park obviously will still be available for their season in the spring. Yep. I wanted to mention a couple of tourism items that we have been working on. Tourism brings a $28 million impact to this community. That's based on 2024 numbers. So it's a big economic impact to our community. So we want to keep doing what we can as a fiscal court to keep tourism moving forward in our community because it's impactful to us. One small item and that we're working on it seems small to us, but maybe a big deal to people visiting here, is those of you who've been to Van Leer and you've driven up Millers Creek and you see this place on the right that's a rock wall and it's got this little box and it's got bars across it. We all know that's a mine portal, don't we? Well, you know what? People that come here have no idea what that is. And you'd be surprised how many people stop down there at the number 5 store and go, what is that up there? Because they've never seen a deep mine portal before. So when we worked with Jeremiah, obviously, in tourism, and the thought behind it was, let's create another tourist stop at the number 5 mine opening and teach them what that is and tell our story, because we all know that those folks who come in and out of those mine portals are the people that powered this state and this country, right? And so we want to tell that story. And so there's some owners of that property that we've worked with, and they have agreed to donate that property. So that we can then develop it and actually create a tourist stop there to tell the story of what that number 5 mine opening is. I know that seems small, but it's just another step that we can use, that we can take that helps tourists, experiences here, I guess. So anyway, we're working on drafting the deed for that right now so that we can get that conveyed to us, and we appreciate the owners of that property up there being willing to donate that for that use. Also, the Van Leer Pavilion structure, the concrete is basically complete at this point. So we move to the next phase of that, and that is we start securing funding to actually put the building on the pad. And so we'll be working on that with community partners going forward to try to get that building constructed as quickly as possible. Smaller items I wanted to mention, but not less important necessarily, but the old courthouse out back. A lot of folks have had interest in what can we do with that building. Well, obviously it has some environmental concerns. So we're working with the Area Development District right now to try to pursue funding from the Energy and Environment Cabinet to get somebody to environmentally clean that building up, and then we can pursue funding to try to make that useful once again. Animal shelter improvements. As we know, we have a very active animal services program. We're looking to apply for grant funding to replace the heating and cooling units in that facility, which obviously goes directly to animal welfare and animal well-being out there. Paul Burchett and I met our EM director today just to get some updates, but our communication system upgrade is going well. We should finalize installation within the next couple of months for all handheld mobile units and mobile repeaters for all of our first responders. So we're extremely pleased that that is moving along. That is primarily funded with an $860,000 earmark from Congressman Rogers, but it's also supported by the fiscal court with the use of single county coal severance funds to complete the full upgrade of the system, everybody, fire, police, EMS, everyone. So really happy about that. Any other comments on that, Paul?
No, all the county fire departments have received radios to go in their trucks, so everybody has that updated, and everything's working fine on that. The sheriff's office should have some new radios next week, and then Paintsville Ambulance, and then we'll have handhelds delivered next week. I talked to Jonathan earlier.
We really saw this as an opportunity to do a complete upgrade. There's some things we could have not done with this project, but because of your all support with the single county coal severance funds, we're now going to be able to purchase about 113,000, of what is mobile repeaters, so that every fire department will have one mobile repeater in one of their vehicles, which obviously works well when they're out on the scene, Paul, right? Because then they're handheld, you're going to communicate back to the repeaters, which helps them get their message, get their calls out.
5 5-watt radio will transmit to a 100-watt radio and transmit to, so
Yeah.
communications will be drastically improved.
We would have been improved with just simply the handhelds and the mobiles in the trucks, but the mobile repeater is going to step us up even to a higher level of communication. So that's the reason I appreciate your all support in doing that.
And Judge, you also, we repurposed some radios to the road department.
Right.
And, you know, that helped out during this storm because they was able to monitor fire departments or ambulances having difficulties getting up county roads, so they sent crews out. So that was a dramatic increase in response time for us.
Yeah, I appreciate it. That was actually Paul's vision there, to repurpose those radios to try to upgrade all of our systems, so thank you. Just real quickly, legislative items, activities that are going on at Frankfurt right now that we all need to be aware of that can be really impactful to us. One is House Bill 557. I know the Fiscal Court is very well aware of that. That is a bill to support local jails. As you all know, our jail is a mandatory statutory requirement for fiscal courts to pay for all inmate costs for those that are incarcerated within this county and city. And that budget for us for this current fiscal year is about $650,000. But their House Bill 557 is out there right now for consideration. It's been filed that could help lessen our impact from this cost. To put it in perspective, that probably takes about better than 3/4 of our property tax collections just to support our jail. So it's a huge, huge impact. And so if this bill can come through on any level at all, we will take any support, but certainly the comprehensive bill that's filed, if we could push that across the finish line, huge benefit for this county. I wanted to mention the local match participation program. I reached out to Representative McCool and Senator Wheeler about this program last week. We have been very fortunate to use this program. So this program has been set up for years. Regina's very familiar with it. She's helped secure all the funding that we've gotten for this, but it's for a match program for flood-related projects. And so we have been a benefactor. We've received over $1.1 million from this program over the last 4 or 5 years. So it currently is not in the proposed budget, I don't think, as a specific funding program. So I reached out to our legislators and said, hey, this is really, really important, to our community, but it's obviously important to all communities who have needs that are related to flood projects. And so we'll keep monitoring that. The grants program, and it's just exactly what it says it is, GRANTS. It's a program that provides funding that will give to local communities a match from the state for a federal program that they've been awarded money for. You all are well aware that we have received a tremendous amount of money from that program. Matter of fact, in excess of $6 million so far. That helps us with money that matches federal programs and grants that we're pursuing. So it's a huge benefit. That one is something we're watching very closely. We want to make sure that gets in the final budget as well. And then Judy made me aware last week that there's an effort to help create an incentive program for job recruitment to our area, that Colby Kirk and with One East Kentucky has kind of spearheaded that, I think. It's not been filed, I don't think, Judy, in the form of a bill yet. Not quite yet, but we're really advocating hard. And what that does is that provides incentives for companies to locate in our region. So we appreciate Colby working on that. And hopefully that can, we're trying to find every advantage we can find that helps us continue to move forward. And again, I won't get on the soapbox about it, but our community, our region has economically benefited a lot of other regions. And so we're just trying to basically get our opportunity to have some incentives to move our community, to have our communities move forward with different economic opportunities. And so those are just some bills that we're watching legislatively right now in the session, which goes on for about another 40 days or so, I think. So, all right, that was a lot. Comments or questions? I just want, as we go into 26, I felt like it was good that we kind of lay the roadmap of where we're headed this year.
You amaze me of how you can keep up with all that.
Well, thanks, Tim. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's a lot.
All right. Anything else? Bob, Matt, did I miss anything? We good? I know we've got other little stuff going on, but those are the biggies, I guess you'd say. So, all right. Let's just move on then. We didn't have a lot of content, a lot of things in the regular agenda. The reason I want to take this time to share that, especially as we kind of move forward in 26. Next item is approval of the minutes for a regular meeting on January the 12th. If there's no changes to that, we entertain a motion to approve.
Make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Gerald. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Click. All in favor? Any opposed? Next is presentation of the monthly bills. You have those for your consideration. I will mention that there are several payments here to our volunteer fire departments from both the general fund budgeted line item as well as from single county coal severance also. So those are in your packet for approval. And can't say enough about our volunteer fire departments and the work that they do every day, and certainly the work they do under most difficult of circumstances.
I make that motion.
Motion to approve the bills as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Salyer. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Next is approval of transfers and financials. You have those for your consideration, not anything of significance, just addressing some movement among line items. Jail fund obviously was pretty significant. We're asking for a $65,000 transfer this month, but our inmate housing was $47,000, I believe.
Yeah, 48.
48,000, plus we had about 10,000 in medical as well. Just as a reminder, we do a monthly contract for the medical, but then if there's medical services that are provided to inmates that are within our custody, then we obviously have to pay for that as well, because any Medicaid, I'm saying this right, Steve, any Medicaid coverage they have goes away when they get incarcerated. So if the outside services should exceed $1,000 per occurrence, then the Department of Corrections will help pay for that. But still, it's a significant number. So, big number. Approval for the transfers and financials.
I make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Saggers, or second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gerald. All in favor? Any opposed? You have the fourth quarter clerk's report, final settlement. Remember, the clerk and the sheriff operate on a calendar year, so we entertain a motion for her report.
Make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Click. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Salyer. All in favor? Any opposed? Next item is a resolution to correct some road center lines on 3 roads in the Hager Hill area. I had a resident come see me that his road was still a private road, but it was classified as a county road in the state mapping system. And so when we got to looking, we had 3 right in that area that were either misnamed or they were listed as private instead of a county road. So basically you have 3, and that is the DeLong Hollow, Goble Branch, and VMAX Drive. VMAX Drive is actually a private road, but it was listed in the state system as a public road. So we're correcting that. And then the other 2, DeLong Hollow and Goble Branch, were actually, the names on the state mapping were not correct. So this resolution fixes all of that. So we run into this from time to time. When you have as many different roads as we do, sometimes this happens. So we just need approval of this resolution. This will go to the Area Development District GIS person, and they'll send it on to the state for their updating of the maps.
Is this going to be with the 911 also?
No, that's a separate system. And you will find, and it's a great point, sometimes the road will have 2 names. In this case, this wasn't necessarily a conflict 911, it was just wrong in the state mapping system, but we do have roads that have 2 names. One had been given a 911 at some point separate from the county road naming, so it can be a little confusing at times. Just need approval for this resolution to correct these roads.
Motion.
Thank you, Commissioner Sayers. Or second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Click. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Next is approval and authorizing resolution. This is to access single county coal severance funds for the W.R. Castle Fire Department with respect to the Thialca Fire Service District. As you are all aware, W.R. Castle now services the Thialca Fire District. If you have not been over there and went by to look at that facility, it would be worth your drive over there. It is vastly improved. It was a team effort. W.R. Castle Fire Department was there. Mark Reed was over there a lot with our inmate program. But if you haven't been over there, drive by. If you really want to take a good look, call Paul and he'll let you in the building because it's vastly improved. So really pleased with it. Thank you all for all the hard work on that. But But obviously, just the fact that they are now serving that district does not take away from the need for the funding they have to serve that district. So while we did have 2 departments and we now have 1, we're still supporting the funding for as though they were 2, because they are obviously moving equipment. They've bought the truck. They've done quite a bit to service that area. So just need approval for this resolution to access the state funds.
Make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Gerald. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Click. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Next is we need approval to advertise for bids. This is for rail and cribbing and asphalt replacement for disasters 4860 and 4864. We're nearing the completion of those projects and just need approval to advertise for those 2 contracted services.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Salyer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Click. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Item 11 is approval of the training incentive payments for elected officials. Just need approval for those, please.
Make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner Salyer, second
Second.
by Commissioner Click. All in favor? Any opposed? Next is the Emergency Management Monthly Activity Report. Paul, I know we already touched on some of these items, but is there anything outside of that you want to report on emergency management?
Well, with all the positive economic development going on, I don't want to really talk about the winter storm we went through, but I want to say last month I wasn't able to be here because I had a new director of training in Frankfurt, so thank you for allowing me to go to it. It was perfect timing because the following week we had major storms, so that allowed me some additional training and connections, and want to shout out to the connection we had there with Jessamine County Emergency Management. We was able to acquire, and Judge was allowed to let Mark Reed and them go down to Jessamine County Emergency Management. We got blankets, cots, personal hygienes for the warming center just in case we need them. It was the day before, but we tried to do everything we possibly could. The judge was on WSIP every day before the storm and after the storm. We tried to give updates. The judge and I sat through weather service. The National Weather Service out of Jackson was awesome to deal with. They kept us up to date twice a day, and then there was one Saturday there the judge wanted to update, and we done a 3-way call with a meteorologist, and they kept us up to date on everything. Strange thing about it, it was changing every 6 hours.
Yeah.
You know, and sometimes it looked like it was really good for us, and sometimes it looked like it was going to be bad. Nobody wants the freezing rain, but you know we got what we have, and then it came into freezing. A lot of other places had a lot of electrical issues, had no major water issues, we had no major power issues. I think during the 4-day, the 24th through 28th is what Kentucky Emergency Management declared that. We had about 43 EMS calls, we had 15 motor vehicle accidents, we had 2 structure fires. Emergency Management responded to 16 assist needs from the county. I have to say a thank you to the fire departments. Some of the constables helped out, the sheriff. We had some citizens with medication stuck at the post office. They let them deliver their medication. They wouldn't give them to me, but when Scott went to the post office, they was able to give it to him, and he personally delivered it. So everybody worked together. I think the majority of people listened to the warning. They stocked up with food and supplies. Those ones that had problems, we had one particular incident. I know Judge McKenzie would check in because we kept the Emergency Operations Center open. I was there 18 hours a day. So Judge was check in every so often. We particularly had a place over in Boone's Camp. The fire department couldn't get to a family. We couldn't even get the sheriff's office there. So Judge used his resources and called Laura Pack with the ATV club, and the ATV club just got into action, got those people out of their house because they had no power, they had no way of heating, and they transported them to WR Castle. WR Castle transported them to the county line, and the Lawrence County Emergency Management coming down there.
Yeah, that was quite a coordination there, wasn't it? But you can't say enough for Laura reaching out to to Brandon with First Frontier, and he and his son went down there and checked on those folks because nobody could get to them. So, yeah, that worked out well.
Big help, and I greatly appreciate the
Yeah.
judge stepping in and taking care of that. The fire departments can't get a shout out enough to the fire departments because you don't think about, we only had 2 structure fires, but about everywhere an emergency, the ambulance had to go, the fire departments had to go assist before drivers,
Yeah.
or ATVs. And, unfortunately, we did have those 3 deaths, but we've done everything we possibly can to try to make it best. Anybody has any questions or anything that we need to do, but I appreciate Mark Reed and his group helping out and even delivering some supplies. Some people, like I said, the majority of the people prepared, but we did have some that needed extra
Yeah.
help, and we helped them.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate it very much. Thanks.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else under other. Does the court have anything this evening?
I just want to say, I wish the community, they don't understand what our emergency management, our volunteer fire departments, our road, I don't think they really get the depth of, when you're sitting at home and your electric's on, everything's fine, you're watching what's going on out there. Like you said, it's just, I mean, it's special. I think it's special when you have everybody that can, and it goes back to the little things we've done. I know, but you talk about grants that for communications or something. They just hear we've got a $10,000 or whatever. These things build up to that. And I mean, we always talk about telling your story, and I know it's hard to educate and explain everything to the community what's going on. But I appreciate you all, and I mean, it's just.
We appreciate your also.
Yeah.
That's why I said what I said too, because people don't understand how it actually works. We don't do popular things, but we're doing good things for the community.
A lot of times, you don't understand until you have the need.
Yeah.
And then you
When it's
understand.
your need, up your
Absolutely.
holler.
Yeah, appreciate it, Paul.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you.
I make a motion we approve the activity report.
Thank you, Tim.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Gerald. All in favor? Any opposed? Nothing under other unless the court has something this evening, but we do need executive session just for 3 minutes. By the way, I didn't want to leave without recognizing our friend, Mr. Shepard from Mountain Enterprises. Thank you, sir, for being here. Appreciate you supporting our community. Thank you. Thank you. All right, motion to go into executive session.
Make a motion.
Make a motion.
You got a second from Commissioner Gerald?
Second.